Welcome back to Ask the Edmonds Cop and Sergeant Shane Hawley. It's almost time for school.
It is.
And we're going to talk about safety, and in particular, is how to make sure your kids are safe when they're walking to school. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I think you're going to have a link for school bus safety.
Yes, which we've done in the past.
So I thought we could go, let's look at your kids walking or riding to school. Obviously, it's going to be busy. The schools are going to activate here real soon, and the chaos that ensues around the school at drop-off and pickup time it's going to be back. So the school zone signs are going to light back up, and it's going to be people on sidewalks and parents running late for drop-off and big yellow school buses everywhere. So just kind of a general reminder, hey, watch our school bus segment. Gives you the lowdown of what you can do around school buses and when you can pass and when you can't. And just be patient. You know, the worst thing that you can have happen is, an accident in the school zone, with a kid or whatever, because people just aren't being patient. So slow down, take a big deep breath. Dropping them off late isn't as big a deal as running over someone in a crosswalk. So I thought we could talk about how to prepare your kids if you're going to send them to school on foot. So some general guidelines, and there's a lot of information out there. Plan the route ahead of time and walk it with them. So make sure that they understand this is the route and I want you to stick to it. So don't decide to take the shortcut, go out of your way. And some things to really look at is make it the direct route if you can, but pay attention to does this route have really busy intersections? Is there a lot of traffic? Are there marked crosswalks? So if they have to cross the street, plan a spot where they can do it as safely as possible.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first one. Okay. Talk to them about stranger danger. Hey, don't accept rides from people. And what goes hand in hand with that is send them in a group.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that. That seems to be a very common sense idea.
Yeah, at least two, and the more the merrier.
Right.
So that's just a general safety thing, especially with that, talking to strangers or whatever. It's just they're less likely to be approached if they're in a pack.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that one. And then talk to them about pedestrian safety. We've covered this a million times between the fountain and downtown pedestrian crosswalks and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Cover those things with them. So make sure that they understand what their responsibility is as a pedestrian.
Yeah.
So using crosswalks, crossing at intersections, not across the middle of the street. Make sure they're visible, which kind of ties into something I ran across, which I thought was pretty good. And this comes from the National Safety Council, and they call it Heads Up, Phone Down. It's kind of a campaign. And there were some interesting, I like my statistics a little bit.
Yes, you do.
So according to their website, in 1995, children between the ages of 5 and 9 were more at risk for being hit by a car while walking. So that's 20 plus years ago, but we're talking 5 to 9-year-olds, so smaller kids.
Because they can't be seen?
Well, I don't know what the deal was with that, but that was the statistic 20 years ago. Well, that's changed. Thankfully, that's a good thing. Yeah. But all that's happened is the age group has changed. Now it's 15 to 19-year-olds, and essentially it comes down to texting.
Yeah.
So according to their stats, 61 kids are hit by cars every day in the U.S.
Wow.
Okay. And they find that kids 13 to 17 send more than 3,400 text messages per month.
If you're a parent, this does not surprise you.
No, it shouldn't. They have the thumbs of fury. It's pretty amazing. That comes down to 7 messages per hour that they're awake. Okay? And this boils down to tell them to keep the phone in the pocket or in the backpack or wherever it is while they're walking. And you see it all the time. People are walking down the sidewalk, they're in the crosswalk, and it's like this. You can only really focus on one thing at a time. And if you're paying attention to the phone, you're not paying attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah,
and that's when accidents happen. So tell them to put the phone down. They can wait if they're absorbed in that. And kind of the same thing with music. If the music is cranked up, we use these a lot. Yeah. And that's one thing that really alerts you to danger. And if you're just not paying attention, that's another thing.
Okay,
So
that's good
put
stuff.
the phones down while
Yeah,
you're walking.
for those purposes. And,
Yeah.
you know, you may be getting to this, but we talked before about the importance as a pedestrian of making eye contact with
Yep.
the vehicle. Would you suggest you teach your children that
Yep,
as well?
same thing. And I've been practicing that every time I'm out now, and
Yeah.
it really does work. Is
Yeah.
stop and wait. Don't assume that the car is one sees you and that they're just going to stop at the intersection.
Right.
They're much bigger than you. I always assume that the car is going to roll through the intersection, and if they don't, perfect. But you make that eye contact and make sure that they've stopped. So
Right.
I always look at worst case scenario and hope for the best. So especially when you're a pedestrian.
Yeah, okay, good. Anything else?
Oh, I think that's about it. We just, we'll be out in the school zones once it fires up. So you'll see our motorcycles out there, our cars. We really pay attention to that. We just want everybody to be safe and make sure that we don't have any unfortunate accidents, and that our young people that are the most vulnerable really get protected.
Yeah, and watch for the school zones. Know that you have
Yep.
to go slower. There'll be flashing lights. There'll be warning systems,
Yep.
so people will know. Let's just make sure the kids stay safe. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
We will return soon with another episode of Ask the Edmonds Cop.